Hello, everybody. For those of you who aren't at church and are going to actually tune in and watch this, welcome. To those of you who will watch it later in the day, I hope that you enjoy what I'm about to share with you. We're going to talk about the power of the mind. We're going to delve into one particular scripture in the Bible that I want to use. Now, whether you are a Christian, whether you practice some other faith, whatever, the principles within this are reinforced in so many different areas outside of any one particular faith. But I am going to use this because the predominance of people who are going to watch this will have some sort of reference to it. Um, Before I get to that, first of all, I want to congratulate all of my registry, those who decided to register for this month's webinar on AI, leveraging the power of AI to create businesses, to expand businesses, to generate revenue, all of that. For those of you who registered before the cutoff last night, welcome. You guys will be hearing from me. If you're watching this, check your email. There's an email I personally sent out to you this morning so that to welcome you. And also it is time sensitive. So you want to get to it today. For those of you, thank you. Registration is now closed for that webinar because I need to be able to engage the individuals before we get to the 30th and build an understanding of what we are going to focus on. So that's that. But there's something that has kind of got lost while I've been promoting that webinar, and that is the Ascension Personalized 6 month success and growth plan. If you don't have a plan for your life, you're not planning to succeed. You are by default planning to fail. What I decided to do a while ago was create a system to where we could provide individuals with personalized success and growth plans. Literally ask 20 questions that I created along with a free personality assessment, free disc assessment, and we create a 6 month plan for you. This plan is highly specific. When you follow it, it's going to do a number of different things automatically. It's going to create new habits. It's going to put you on a particular trajectory toward what you say you want, and it's going to get you out there. And I am actually eating a portion of the cost of this because it costs more than I'm charging for it, but I want it out there, and we're going to cut it off at 100 people again because I can't do this indefinitely, but we're cutting it off at 100 people. It is now $99. This is for a 6 month personalized growth plan. And if you don't understand when I say personalized, what I mean is nobody's going to have your plan because your plan is going to be built off of these questions, off your personality, off your disc assessment. It's your plan. It's the only one like it in the world. This is the only place that's doing it right now. Look, go ahead and sign up for that. Here's the other one that I'm offering, my labor of love, my 18-month path to generational wealth course. This is 10 years of research, interviews, gaining an understanding to put something together that was bigger than me, definitely bigger than me. A bunch of this stuff I did not know before I started interviewing the major players, before I started doing the research, but I felt it was worth the labor to give someone a comprehensive look inside of what it takes to build wealth and so much more. This class is so robust that if you master just 20% of it, it will change your life. This course is 18 months, normally $2,600 today only. It's $599. And if you get it today, you will also get the 6 month success plan to go along with it to really help you align yourself. The information is in the description box. I want to get to this, what I want to talk about, but the information is in the description box. Check it out. So, anytime there's a pattern, anytime there is repetition of something over and over again, you have to ask why. You have to say, why is it being repeated so much? Um, Heart is repeated almost 1,000 times in the Bible in some form or another. Thoughts, mind, and everything else close to 500, depending on what version and interpretation you're reading. But the overall conjecture of the things that control how you perceive. And when the heart is used, it's not used in the sense of your physiological heart, whether it's leb or nephesh in the Old Testament or cardia in the Greek. That's nephesh and leb in Hebrew, cardia in Greek. It's referring to the deepest recesses of your soul, your life. In essence, if we were to talk about it scientifically in the world of psychology, we would call it your subconscious. The very thing that controls 96% of your behavior. It's how you move. It's what guides your instinct. It what literally puts you on autopilot and you do over and over again if you never change or reprogram it. The heart is the guiding force. Christ said that out of the abundance of the heart, what? The mouth speaks. So if we're talking about guarding our self-talk, then we must also talk about what? Managing our heart. So in the Bible, heart and guarding your hearts and minds is used over 1,000 times. That's a lot. So why? Because there's power in the mind. There's power in the mind. We know there's power in the tongue. Well, if there's power in the tongue, and Christ says the heart and the mind control the tongue, then how much power is in the heart and the mind? So you've got to look at this. But we're going to use this particular scripture and we're going to break it down real quick. And I'm going to get out of your way. And there are a number of different interpretations. But basically it says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to or through or by the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are what? Not carnal, not fleshly, but mighty in God, or mighty through God for the pulling down of strongholds. Remember that, strongholds. Says, but it doesn't stop there. It says casting down arguments, casting down imaginations, casting down thoughts, ideas, suggestions, or statements that exalts itself, places itself higher than the knowledge of God. Then what does it say? Bringing every what? Thought captive to the obedience of Christ, bringing every thought captive. So what I want to talk to you about now is casting down arguments and bringing thoughts captive. It says, though we, in one of the things that we find ourselves do often is we're trying to muscle our way through something spiritual through physical means. We're trying to use logical reasoning for something that's a little bit higher, and we don't understand why we're facing so much opposition, why we're facing so much difficulty, why we're facing so much struggle, because we're trying to solve a supernatural issue with a natural idea, a natural thought process. Albert Einstein once said that you can never solve the problem or change the situation using the same thinking that got you there. So what you must do is you must be able to elevate yourself in your thinking. You must be able to trust something greater than yourself. And so what it says, we operate in the flesh, but the flesh isn't the weapon. We respond fleshly because we haven't realized that. So though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to or by the flesh or through the flesh. But what? But the weapons of our warfare, what? Are not carnal. They are what? Mighty through or by God for the pulling down of what? Strongholds. Strongholds, addiction, strongholds, abusive relationships, strongholds, poverty, strongholds, low self-esteem, strongholds, dwarf goals and colorless dreams, strongholds, keeping you rooted in mediocre living, having you meander through the maze of mediocrity, never seeking to step outside because you're being blocked by a stronghold, being held by a stronghold, being held by old ideas of what is, being held by the family's legacy of not succeeding, being held by what mama and daddy did. You are being pulled back by strongholds, but it says it's what? Casting down strongholds, that so that when you learn how to do this, you can break through strongholds. When you learn how to do this, you can break free of what used to be. When you learn how to do this, you can guide yourself into something different. You're never trapped. There's no such thing as a lot in life. I tell this people all the time, there are a bunch of people walking around believing because they came from something, that's what they have to be. There are a lot of people believing that poverty is their lot in life. Suffering is their lot in life. Being in abusive relationships is simply their lot in life. They actually believe that they are here just to exist in this state of suffering, this state of or lack of being what they were really designed to be, and that's a representation of the designer, and they have accepted. Once you accept it, it becomes your reality. I say this all the time, that Pain is inevitable. You're going to experience pain. You cannot circumvent pain. You're not going to get around pain. Pain is inevitable, but suffering, my friend, is a choice. See, suffering is not the pain. The pain is a part of the process. Suffering is when you identify with the thing that caused the pain. That's why you can't let him go. That's why you can't let her go. That's why you can't let the past go. That's why you can't get over the poverty, because you decided to identify with it. The mind. I'm going somewhere with this. The mind. You decided to identify with not being able to start a business. Nobody in your family's ever done it before. You decided that you couldn't proceed and go after this vision of this dream because everybody around you thinks it's haughty and way out of your reach, and they think that you are not being what? Realistic. So you decided to identify with the current circumstance. And once you identify with the circumstance, which by nature is temporal, it all of a sudden becomes permanent. See, what was meant to be a momentary affliction has now become something of a long-standing thorn or alternative reality to what you really should be. But it says what? Let me look at it and see again. It says, for the weapons of our warfare are not what? Carnal. They are mighty in God for pulling down. It's time to pull down strongholds. But see, it's not about cliches. See, one of the problems I have when I'm dealing with my Christian brothers and sisters is that they think they can say the nice little God is good and go to church, get into emotional stupor, and they wonder why by Monday afternoon at work, they're right back where they started. It's because all they got was the emotional charge. They were preached into emotional stupor, sung into an inspirational clamor of belief, but there was nothing anchoring it because they didn't deal with the heart and mind. They didn't deal with changing the things that are anchoring those limiting beliefs, that's anchoring those things that say, I'll never have a real job I really love. I'll just be here with people I can't stand, and they don't like me because I don't like being here. And it's just miserable. Do you realize that 85% of the people in this country get up and go to jobs every day that they hate? Why? Because they think they have to. They never realize that there's something greater on the inside of them. They never realize that there was something they can do. They never realize that they can go higher. They never realized that it wasn't just what they were looking at, that they have something inside of them. They have the ability to create. They have an imagination. They have something that if they can conceive, they can have. God gave you the ability to create what does not exist, call things that are not as though they were. He said, you shall declare a thing and it shall be established, but nobody's declaring the right thing. Everybody's declaring the circumstance. You're wondering why you can't get out of it. You keep talking about it. Talking about how broke you are. Talking about how you hate your job and this is the best you're going to do. I'm doing my best. No, you're not. You're never at your best, because when you get there, you find out you got more left. You got to start challenging yourself to believe beyond your circumstances. But here's the beautiful part. It says what? Casting down arguments, imaginations. What does it mean? It's casting down any idea, any thought, any suggestion. That's what the old folks used to do. You sit up there and say something that they didn't agree with. They didn't let it slide. They didn't just sit up and say it to themselves. They sit up and openly and outwardly said, no, sir, I don't receive that. I rebuke it. They sit up there and they say, number one, I don't receive it. Number two, I rebuke it. I am literally casting it down. I am openly speaking to my heart, from my heart. You don't get it. Something about the self-talk that's so powerful. I tell people all the time that your brain is this supercomputer that is managed by the mind, but this supercomputer managed by the mind is governed by self-talk. Self-talk will become the program that the supercomputer runs. What you consistently speak is what you consistently live. Now, check this out. What did Christ say? I said it earlier. He said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if I want to control what comes out of the mouth, I need to learn how to manage what's in the heart. And I'm not talking about emotions and all that. I'm talking about in the subconscious. What thoughts, beliefs, and ideas are controlling the way I think on a subconscious level? Because that's controlling 96% of my behavior. So then what must I do? I must visit often a new idea to replace the old one. We know now that there's this thing in psychology and neurology that says that there's this what we call neuroplasticity. What does it mean? I can rewire my brain with new memories, new ideas, new beliefs. I am not stuck with what I used to be, even in personality. I can literally rewire my thinking. I can move from being an introvert to an extrovert and vice versa. I can move from being passive to being aggressive. I can move from being passive to being assertive. I can do that, but I can also change what I think about myself. I can also change what I believe about myself. I can also change what I believe about other things. So now I'm not locked into a reality of default based on my past. So then it says casting down arguments and every high thing. The old folks had that part down. But here's the problem. It doesn't stop there. It doesn't say just cast it down. It doesn't say just speak out against it, but you need to be bold. Number one is you need to start controlling the people you have in your periphery, your circle, your immediate energy, your immediate influence. You need to be careful because I'm going to tell you something. You're going to become an average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. And if you got people pouring in your ear, reminding you of who you used to be, if you got people in your ear telling you what can't happen, if you got people in your ear complaining more than you complain, if you got people in your ear that aren't sitting up saying we can go higher, I believe in you, I see the gift in you, you're going to have a problem. You need to be very careful. But what happens is you need to be careful. And then when there is somebody in your periphery that speaks against what you believe or speaks against what you're claiming, speaks against what you have established, speaks against what you are believing for yourself, you have a responsibility to openly cast it down. No, I don't accept it. I don't receive it. I rebuke it. I push it away. I reject it. I will not receive it. This is what's going to happen. Then I'm going to, after I say I don't receive it, I'm going to replace it with what I do receive. No, I'm going to start that new business. I am prosperous. I am abundant. I am a representation of God. So I am unlimited in what I'm capable of doing. So not only do I take the unacceptable suggestion, imagination, argument against my life, against my future, against my destiny, and say I don't receive it and I cast it down. I immediately replace it with what I do receive, what I do accept, what I have established, what I am believing, what I am hoping, what I am striving for. I'm constantly programming the heart, the subconscious, to produce the words that are representative of what I'm holding. Then the mind, nous in Greek, is what? Now conscious of anything moving around it that is not in alignment with what is held. And when I get the heart, the mind, and the mouth moving in alignment, it's powerful. It says, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against what the knowledge of God for me. What is the knowledge of God for me? It's all through the Bible. If you're a Christian, it's all in the life and the things you feel when you're in your most purest state. If you don't understand what God has for you, get away from the clamor. Get away from the strife. Step away from the struggle for a minute. Find you a place of peace. Go to a wooded area, or go to a stream where water is running, or go to a beach and get away from all the clamor and start to move away from all of the darkness, the envy, the strife, the jealousy, the fear, the worry, the pain, the anger, the rage, all those things. Get away from it. Allow yourself to ascend. Start by saying thank you. Start by saying I'm grateful. Start by saying God is awesome. No matter how you see God, say I am blessed. And then step away and start to see what it's like to move away from that and start to feel what it's like, and then start to listen and let the mind start to produce different ideas about your current state. See, what you're doing is you're living in an autopilot of suffering. You are literally anchored in an idea of a past circumstance that you identified with so heavily that you anchored yourself in it, and it became a perpetual reality for you versus a temporal circumstance. You've got to learn how to move through circumstances. You're not meant to camp out there. You're meant to push through. In pushing through, there's growth. In pushing through, there's strength. In pushing through, there's a development of knowledge. Knowledge is the beginning of wisdom. This is why it's so important that you don't get caught up in the moment, because the longer you stay there, the more you believe you belong there, the less you start to fight to get out of there. And before you know it, you spent 10 years in something you were supposed to spend 2 weeks in, and you can't figure it out. It's a part of you now. You can still get out, but it's going to be a lot harder than if you just sit up and say, hey, I'm going through it. Tell people this all the time. People will look at me and tell me in different phases of my life, when I was going through something, when I was having difficult moments, they sit up and tell me, you're in denial. No, see, you want to focus on this. I'm aware of this. This is a circumstance. It has no power over the overall outcome of my life. I'm focusing on where I'm going. You're looking at where I'm at. That's why we ain't on the same page. That's why you wondering why I'm smiling. You think I'm supposed to be crying. No, I'm looking at where I'm going. That's the thing that we lose ourselves in. We get stuck in the moment. Life is not static. It's a continuum of movement. And when you allow yourself to become stagnatized by a circumstance, you get stuck and mauled down in it. But it says casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself. What does it say? It says it's mighty in God. For what? Pulling down strongholds. So you're in a stronghold now, a stronghold of poverty, a stronghold of misery and depression, a stronghold of low thinking and low goal setting, a stronghold of wondering what's next instead of creating a new outcome. You're in that stronghold right now. But I'm telling you something, that if you make up in your mind that I'm coming out of this thing, that I'm walking out of it, I'm not going to be held captive by my past. It's a bunch of you out there right now literally mortgaging your future, trying to pay for something that happened in the past. It's in the past. Make amends for what you can make amends for. Learn from what you can learn from. Hold your head up, square your shoulders, and move forward. We're not in a world of perfect people. There's nobody that's in a position to judge you. Be the best version of yourself today. Be the best version you can possibly be. Grow, learn, become, because the things you're going to have in this world is going to be based on what you become, not what you can wish for, not what you think somebody owes you, but what you decide you're going to become. Because when you become what's necessary, you can create what you desire. There's nothing that shall be withheld from you. That's the promise. Nothing good shall be withheld from you. Nothing good. Well, then why, if it's good, why don't I have it? Because you haven't become. You're stuck in believing that you were the person 10 years ago. And that's why you're stuck in the situation from 10 years ago. You've got to step outside of that and understand in that there's something bigger than where you've been. You got to stop consulting your past, asking for permission to change your future. There's nothing you want in your future that your past can give you permission to take, because your past hasn't been where you're trying to go. If you keep consulting your past is going to say, we never did that before. I don't know what to do. This is all you've ever done. What? Stop looking back, learn from it, set it down, stop carrying it, and move forward. It says bringing down strongholds, tearing down strongholds, shaking free of strongholds. Why aren't you shaking free? Because you're still trying to use the carnal mind. Get inside of the spirit man. Get inside of the communication of the direct divine connection with God that's sending you answers daily to the enigmatic issues you're facing, but you can't receive it because you're trying to fight from a carnal mindset, and you're automatically turning off. You can hear audibly, but you can't hear spiritually. It's because you're trying to handle it carnal. You got to move in the switch. It's mighty through God for the bringing down of strongholds. Next, it says what? Casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. We talked about that. Now, what does it finally end up? It says, bringing every thought captive. So you got a bunch of things running through your mind that doesn't align with what you say you want, and it's governing how you behave. 70,000 to 72,000 thoughts move through your subconscious daily. Most of it you're not consciously aware of. If you were, you would lose your mind trying to process it. Why? Because the subconscious can process 4 billion bits of information per second, probably more than that, and the conscious mind 2,000. So can you imagine your conscious mind trying to keep up with what your subconscious is doing? That's why 96% of your behavior is governed by your subconscious. Have you ever been driving home, get a phone call, or get caught up in a song, or get lost in thoughts about what's going to happen, and you look up and you're pulling in your driveway and you can't remember the last 5 or 10 minutes of your drive? You start saying, man, did I run that light? Did I stop at that stop sign? Yeah, you stopped at the side, at the light and at the stop sign. You did everything you always do. Why? The subconscious knows. Most of the things you do without thinking. It's just done. You know. You don't have to calculate it or think it out. It's just simply a part of the process because your subconscious is controlling it. 96% of what's going on in your life that's why it says guard your hearts and minds. But your heart is the one that's covenant. That's the subconscious. That's the center of your soul. That's the center of life for you. That's why it's so important. But it says, bring every thought into captivity. What do I mean? Anytime a thought that moves through your mind is in an alignment, you got to bring it in and dismiss it and replace it with a thought that is. It's not simply about saying I don't believe that, I'm not receiving that. It's about saying this is the stuff I'm on right now. I'm on financial management right now. I'm on strong relationship building right now. I'm on building companies and networks and collaborations right now. I'm on being in my best mental health right now. That's what you've got to be speaking consistently, because there's going to be an antagonizing force present in your life every day, trying to move you out of alignment. It's just the way the universe is balanced. There's going to be something trying to remind you of your past, something trying to convince you you can't do it, something telling you to quit and give up, something saying this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. You've got to have the commitment and the persistence to move beyond it. You got to say in your mind, you know what, no matter what, I'm not shaking loose. I'm not letting go. No surrender, no retreat. This isn't about being the smartest. It's not about being the strongest. It's about saying, I'm not quitting until I'm done. It's about showing up. Every day in life, show up. I remember the worst time of my life. Many of you have heard me talk about this many times. The worst year of my life was 2012. 2022 wasn't no joke, but 2012. I'm in this dark place. And it's just, dark. It seems like anything that would possibly happen was happening, and not good. And all I could see is darkness. And then I was reminded of a scripture where Solomon said, God dwells in the darkness. I said, wake up. There's no place that you're going to be in this world that God isn't with you. And if God is with you, there's absolutely nothing that can destroy you. Wake up. Square your shoulders, bro. Look life in the eye and say, I'm built for this. And then I went to God and I told God this little thing that I want you to get. I said, just wake me up. That's all I'm asking. Don't let me die in this. Wake me up. I'll answer the bell. If you wake me up every day, I'll answer the bell. I've been answering the bell ever since. I shook loose of all those things that were holding me. I shook loose of that darkness. And now even when I enter in the darkness, I enter with my shoulders square in my head, because I know God's walking the journey with me. I'm trying to get you to understand that the very thing you are fearing are the things you need to engage and embrace, because you're not walking it alone. God is there with you. When you understand this, when you understand the power of your mind, You will start to guard it. You'll keep those negative-minded people, those negative talkers, those naysayers. You know those naysayers, those people who love to whisper the sweet nothings of negativity in your ear, hoping to discourage you from stepping outside of the box that they've become so comfortable in and having you as company. And anytime you decide to get out, you become a major conviction of their mediocrity, so they can't have you getting out, so they talk you out of it. Get rid of those people. God needs you outside of the box. Your family needs you outside of the box. If you have children, they need you outside of the box. If you have a spouse or a mate, they need you outside of the box. There are people in your periphery that are watching you that you don't even know are watching you. They need you outside of the box. I've had people show up and tell me that they were literally thinking about ending their lives. And it's funny how it all ends up with this one little common denominator in all these stories. It is, and then I just happen to come across your video, or somebody invited me to hear you speak. It was something that was on my radar. It was just something that happened, and I decided, yes, I'll go to this event or this conference, or man, let me see what's in this video. But it all started with just being in front of them, and they said, I'm glad I looked at you. I'm glad I listened. I'm glad you saved my life. One woman said she lost her husband and was just lost. 28 years of marriage, and he died. And she's lost. And if you've lost somebody, you know the darkness in that. Even if they didn't die, if you lost them and you loved them, you know that pain. Imagine losing somebody and there's never a chance you're going to speak to them again. She was there, and she didn't know anything outside of being his wife. She had invested all of her, because he was investing all of him in her. And then he passed. And she said she didn't know who she was. She didn't know what to do. She was about to give up, and she came across my video. And she said, you encouraged me. You inspired me. And I started to discover who I was. And I started to rise up. And she said, Dr. Wallace, a year ago, I met a man, not my husband, but he's an unbelievable, wonderful man. And this year we married, and I'm happy again. Thank you. And I go on. I got people that said I inspired them to push their education further, to go out and start businesses and do things differently. See, every time I hear that, I know what I went through in 2012 wasn't in vain. That my willingness to stay up and stand up and push out had purpose and meaning in it. And that because I didn't quit, because I didn't accept it as my reality, as my destiny, I saw it as a circumstance, I was able to push through it. And because of that, people are being gifted and blessed just by me opening up and sharing with them on a regular basis. I've got clients who are actually clients that tell me, you've changed me. You've changed how I see myself. I just want to thank you. And every last person watching this has the same capacity to have impact. You may not impact the world in the way that I do, but you have equal value and capacity to impact the world in the way you were designed to. Life has probably shut it down in you. Life has probably redirected you. Life has probably put you in places that you didn't want to be in, and it's shook up the core of who you are. It's time for rediscovery. It's time to gain an understanding. It's not just who you are, but whose you are. It's not just where you're at and where you've been, but where you're going. You're writing a new chapter every day. First of all, stop giving other people the pen. Stop letting other people write your chapters. Take hold of the pen, decide the journey, decide the destiny, decide the goal, step out in it and pursue it with tenacity, sagaciously, inexorably. Don't quit, whatever you do. So, as I always say, I live my life on full. So when I leave this place, I die on me. I don't want to leave 1 ounce of my potential untapped. I don't want to have to give an account for something I could have done and didn't. So I wake up every day and I give it everything I got. I love hard. Even when I don't feel like it's coming back to me, I love hard. Because see, I never get that opportunity to love again. I give hard because I never get that opportunity to give again. I plant deep because I'm not going to get an opportunity in that time to plant again. That second 84,000, excuse me, 86,400 seconds, 86,400 seconds. That's how many seconds are in a day, 86,400. When they're gone, they're gone. How you invest in your 86.4 is going to determine the outcome of your life. How much are you giving to yourself? How much are you committed to go the distance? How far are you willing to climb outside of your comfort zone to experience something greater? How invested are you into managing your thinking and your thoughts? How serious are you to sit up and say, nothing negative is going to be spoken in my hearing without me addressing it and without me taking action to ensure it doesn't happen a second time? That's your responsibility. You have something precious within you in the way of potential and gifting. Don't let the world and circumstances rob you of it. Walk in it, live in it, stand in it, move in it. And on that note, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. As I told you at the beginning of this video, there are 2 powerful offers in there. One is the personalized 6-month success and growth plan. It's a system I designed to literally take your personal information, the answers to 20 questions, a free DISC assessment, free personality assessment, and create a 6-month personalized success plan, success and growth plan for you. Your plan, nobody else has one like it. It's yours. It's created just for you. That's in there. That's $99. Or my heart, which right now, which is the Path to Generational Wealth online course. This is a comprehensive, robust 18-month course. This isn't one of those things you just go on it and you take it in a day. This is an 18-month course. This is highly intensive. This is everything I was able to gather over 10 years through interviews, through research, through study, to put it all in one place and to give it to you so that you can start building. Now, here's the beauty of this. If you sign up for it today, instead of it being the regular $2,600, it's going to be $599. That's an 18-month course, $599. Plus, I'm going to give you the 6-month success plan. And I'm going to give you the 7-day online business launch course so that you can start creating multiple streams of income online. That's a $600 course. So that's in there. You choose which one. If you choose the second one, you get all of it. But if you choose the first one, that's fine. That's a good place to start. Everybody needs a plan. Everybody. So on that note, look, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. I want to thank you guys for lending me your time. Let's go over that verse one more time. It's one of my favorites, man, because it's so powerful. And being a psychologist, I see the psychology ripping out through it. Well, I see it all through the Bible. It's so powerful in there. And but it says that though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty in God for pulling down strongholds. That part right there. I don't care what's got you. It can't hold you. Not when you're operating spiritually, not when you're trusting and having faith in your gift, having faith in your God, having faith in your creator, having faith in your design. Then it says what? Casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God for you. Bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. Bringing every thought into captivity, into alignment with your destiny, into alignment with your believing with yourself, into alignment with what you're holding to be true about your future. Not what you went through in the past, not what people are saying about you. You don't need to ask anybody permission to be great. You are great when you step into the true nature of your gifting. It says your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. Your gift is your license to show up in this world and be heard, be felt, and be an impact. You've got to live in it. You've got to live in it. On that note, look, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable remainder of your Sunday. I'm out of here.